Welcome back in, everybody. Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy. Brought to you by the Pass Rebels Golf Club. Check them out at passrebelsgolfclub.com or call them at 805-238-4722. Live music on Wednesday nights, 5:30 to 8. You can see the lineup at passrebelsgolfclub.com. You can also visit their Facebook page. They have a great barbecue during the week there as well, and a restaurant that's open 7 days a week. So check everything out at passrebelsgolfclub.com. If you want to bring a group over, I know I've met a lot of people from the Valley over in Fresno, Bakersfield, over in that area that listen to the show. They'll say, hey, listen to the show, love it, have a blast listening to you guys, and they come over and they play golf at Paso. You guys want to call me, bring a group, call me directly, 805-431-7615, Mike Brabenick, 805-431-7615 to bring groups over to Paso Robles Golf Club. Come play. Course is in great shape.
It always is.
And it's a fun, you know what, and just like a lot of courses, like the Challenge course, and, the old course at Monarch's a little bit harder than the Challenge, in my opinion.
A little bit.
But the Challenge is great, and Paso is the same thing. It's like they're very playable. So it's like you can play with a lot of different skill levels, depending on your group. If you have a lot of different types of players, come out and play Paso Robles Golf Club or head to the Challenge course or, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities.
Challenge course can be as tough as you want.
So that's the beauty of it.
That course, it is a challenge. In fact, I think it's tougher than the big course.
Yeah. Well, and you got 5 sets of tees, so you could, if you wanted to, or 4, you could play different sets of tees on the different holes too.
Or mix them up.
Yeah, mix them up. But so we thought we'd jump in with Clubbing with Dave here, and this was something I've had a lot of students ask, and I try to explain it the best I can, but they still have a blank stare on their face. And I think a lot of people do, and we've talked a little bit about this before, Dave, but I don't think this specific is golf club like set makeup. Okay, what's happening, at least what I've seen, is when people are buying clubs, they might be buying like 5 different single irons or 6 of them, and then they have their hybrids. And the question that always comes up is 19 degrees hybrid. What does that equal? 24 degrees. What does that equal? So if I have a 24 degree hybrid, does that mean I should carry a 5 iron and a 4 iron as well? Or what? What does it act? What do the hybrids actually equal? Now, they might say a 3 hybrid, but that doesn't necessarily mean
3 iron.
3 iron.
Yeah.
And so, to best explain it to someone who's listening, or for other people that maybe down the line are thinking about, I'm going to take out my 3 iron, I'm going to take out my 4 iron, I'm going to take out my 5 iron, and I'm thinking about going to hybrids. What's the conversion?
It depends what company's making them.
It really comes down to the company,
It
huh?
really does. Basically, there's 2 types of hybrids. You got the ones that are kind of like an iron. You got the ones that are kind of like a wood. And the ones that are more ironish, there's a good word for you.
In color?
But the ones that are, more like an iron, they play pretty true as far as, 3 iron, 3 hybrid, interchangeable. The ones that look a little more like a wood, it's almost rule of thumb that you go to 5 iron, and then the next club up would be 5 hybrid.
Interesting.
It's about 1 club difference.
Huh.
So it's it really does depend on the company. Some companies use wood shafts in their hybrids, and some companies use iron shafts in their hybrids.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the wood shafts have they're thinner in diameter. They got.
And when you say wood
3
shafts, you're talking about
the tip.
the tip. You're not talking about that they're actually made out of wood.
No.
People don't get confused. It's
Yeah, some of them are made out of hickory.
yeah, exactly. it's just a shaft that was more designed to be placed into a fairway wood or something like that.
Yeah, or driver shaft.
Yeah.
It's and it comes down to the tip size. The wood shafts are almost all of them now are 335, which is 335 thousandths of an inch, about a third of an inch, and iron shafts are 370 thousandths.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit thicker.
So I'm thinking, like when you mentioned that some of the hybrids that are more iron-like. Like Ping has almost a combination iron hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
They think they call it a driving iron more, but it's like a 3. That probably plays more like a true iron.
That just goes along with the set. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Interesting. And then I know that
Big thing with driving irons is just they're extremely forgiving. As far as irons are, yeah. Wishon makes one that I carry the 3-iron in it in my bag, and it's got man, I got the hiccups.
That's all right.
But it's got a hot face on it, and I just love hitting that thing.
So is it like a thicker iron, like a driving thicker iron, or is it?
It's got a thicker sole.
Thicker sole.
So
okay.
You got the low center of gravity.
That's what the Ping one has too. Same kind of thing.
And Titleist has one. A lot of companies. I know TaylorMade has one now too.
So the rule of thumb is if it's more shaped like the iron, even though it's a thicker sole, it's truly more, as far as like putting it in a set, it's more like that kind of an iron.
It's just, basically, it's just a real forgiving iron.
Yeah. It's really interesting, too, with hybrids. You have the rounded kind of hybrids. You've got the box hybrids.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you look at these different shapes and what your eyes see, what they like, what you like. It's fascinating to me.
It really, that's the starting point right there, is what looks good to you, which one gives you a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it's the Callaway Steelhead hybrid.
Okay.
It's a box version of what Adams came out with quite a while ago, and then TaylorMade, bought Adams, and so TaylorMade's kind of got their own. But this Callaway Steelhead, it's a little bit, it's a bigger box. I don't know how to explain it. It's a bigger box shape. Like when Adams first came out with their box,
Kinda
it was
like the Heavenwood.
Yeah, it was kind of like when Adams came out with their box, it was like a really small, almost like a little cleek.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you had to be really precise with that thing. And this one on the Callaway Steelhead has a bigger sole on it, and man, you can just rip that thing. I mean, there's just something about it. It must be the actual amount of sole there is on the bottom. That there's no friction coming out of the rough at all. There's nothing. There's no grab. It's amazing. And then they also make an Epic, which is different. That one's rounded. It's kind of rounded on the top and it's rounded on the backside, and the front edge, leading edge, is a little different, and that one's a little different getting out of the rough. It's good, but to me, it's not as good as the Callaway X.
Is that right?
The Steelhead, yeah. And I hadn't hit a lot of Callaway, so I just did that probably a couple weeks ago, and I was really surprised. And I'm more talking not just about the Callaway name. I'm talking about the design more than anything, because I've had the rounded ones. I had the they had these things called protos. Adams had a proto. I was like an iron hybrid, and the face looked like an iron, and the back end of the actual face was like was almost half rounded. Great when you hit them, but man, you had to strike the ball well. If you didn't, you were in trouble.
They didn't fulfill what a hybrid was really supposed to do.
They didn't last very long either.
Makes sense.
Cool looking club, but
it was just another long iron. Huh?
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, I've never gone to hybrids.
Still haven't?
I've never carried a hybrid in my bag, but not too long ago I was out on the range and a guy was hitting one. I said, "Let me try that." I picked that thing up and hit it, and I went, "Holy cow, that's easy to hit."
Yeah. So, do you think you'll ever change, or are you going to be stubborn and stick to those long irons? Like, what's your longest iron you have in your bag?
3.
Man, I don't know if I could hit a 3-iron anymore. And I hate saying that because I loved my long irons. I mean, you and I and Billy have talked about that, and Nikki. I mean, I used to have my long irons. I used to have 2 irons in my bag all the time, and I had a driving iron all the time.
I carried 1 iron, yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I had the driving iron was because one, off the tee, I had way more control with that than with a driver or even with a 3-wood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you wanted 230, you got it. If you wanted 240, you got it. If I got lucky, sometimes I got 250, 260 if the topography of the hole played that way.
Mm-hmm. No, I think I've told you that when I carried 1 iron, I loved when I got to the right yardage or, got a tight par 4 where I had to hit it in the middle of the fairway. That was my go-to club. I absolutely loved hitting that thing, and I pulled it down out of the rafters the other day and set it down.
And you're
First
like,
thing I thought was, "Wow, I used to be pretty good." I couldn't hit that thing off the ground now if I tried.
that is so awesome. Yeah, it's really interesting with clubs. Mike Rautzer, the owner at Paso Golf Club, he just came back from Truckee up at Lahontan.
Uh huh.
So he's up there for like 2 weeks.
That's
And,
pretty country.
and he got fitted and he has PXG irons now. He
Oh, really?
cannot stop talking about them.
Yeah.
And I saw him yesterday. He won't let me touch him, which
made-
which I don't blame him.
Did he get the new ones?
I believe they're the new
A
ones.
little more forgiving.
He went out, shot a good score yesterday. He birdied 10, 11, and 12 all in a row. And he goes, and he's just beaming with confidence. I mean, it's just, and he keeps telling me, he's like when he came back, not just me, but the rest of the staff, he goes, I had a revelation. I had a revelation. So something in the fitting of those irons, I haven't had a chance to talk with him yet, but it'd be fascinating to hear what they went through, because that's not cheap.
No, they're $350 an iron.
Yeah, that's not cheap. But if you're going to play a lot of golf and you want to play well and you're going to play competitively and you're going to do all those things, then the investment's probably worth it. I guess it goes back to the old adage, how much would you pay if you could have clubs that make you feel great every time?
I hit one and I didn't find anything special.
Nothing
about
special?
It. No.
Yeah, I
It
think
was a
must
good
come
golf
down.
club, but
How did you try one? How were you able to?
there was a guy doing a demo day.
Oh, there was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was one of the heads he had.
Yeah.
He had probably 15 different iron heads, and it was one of them. And he had them adjustable where, you could switch shafts in and out of the heads. And it was a good golf club, but I didn't, it wasn't a $350 iron.
Well,
In
what-
my mind, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Well, what did?
Of course, then again, it's all about the fit.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
really.
I was going to ask you, if there was something different that they do with the fitting with PXG. I mean, I don't know what there could be different, but maybe, how Henry Griffiths had their way forever. You get those, you come out with some lie angles and they'd be like, well, you're 7 degrees upright and your club is, your club's going to be 2 inches longer here and 1 inch longer here. And,
That was different.
And some people still to this day say that was the best fitting they've ever had when they did Henry Griffiths.
Well, and then some people said it was the worst one they ever had.
Yeah.
Too. And the only thing I didn't like about that, it was everything they did was written in granite. I mean, this is the way to do it, and there's no other way. And I think as a fitter, you got to be very flexible and be able to see, different ways to do things.
I agree with you on that 100%.
It's like, your clubs are a half inch apart. 4 irons half inch longer than the 5 irons, and so forth. And when I work with real tall people, I only give them 3/8 of an inch between them. And so then when you get down to your wedges, they don't get too short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
You
sense.
can do a lot of things like that differently. And different people need to be fitted differently.
Right.
And the Griffiths thing, it worked great for some people,
Yeah,
but I just don't think it was flexible enough.
interesting. Well, and as golf's moving along too, when you think about the golf sets and everything, things are becoming, I think, obviously have already become less traditional.
Oh, yeah.
So the fitting is the same way. I'm hearing more and more. I mean, and I'm one of them. I'm hearing more and more people go, I'm not even carrying a 3-wood anymore. To me, like a lot of people
Well,
I
I
know,
quit carrying a 3-wood long
a
time
lot of
ago.
people aren't even carrying fairway woods anymore.
Really?
The majority of people that are carrying fairway woods that I know are actually older. And
Yeah, I
I'm not
carry
saying
one.
that's bad, because as I get older, I might carry one again. But right now, I mean, the hybrids I have do way more than the job of
We
a,
go
of a
straight
fairway.
to hybrids. do you?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I set up so that I have my set, and then like you were talking about, I've got a 4. I technically got a 4 hybrid that I can adjust 2 degrees either side, so I could change it up if I wanted to, and then I've got a 3 hybrid the same way. So, but for me, it doesn't make sense to carry a 3-wood or any kind of fairway wood when most of the courses I play are not. They don't call for that shot based on the way I manage my game. So it's interesting. More and more people I think are pulling them out. You know, and you see people with maybe 3 hybrids now.
Yeah. It's funny. I wouldn't give up my fairway wood for anything.
I mean, you strike your fairway wood's amazing.
It's like one of my best clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I always say to you when we're playing or we're doing lessons, I'm like, I wish I could hit fairway woods like you hit them. Like I never have been able to. I had one time back when I was the head pro at Avila, this is probably 97, I had a Tour Edge. It was like a 2.5 wood, and I could hit that thing off the tee almost as far as my driver, and I could hit it almost like a driver off the ground, and I'd never miss. It was a little higher on profile than what Olimar was when Olimar came out, but it wasn't as tall as a driver. One of the best clubs I've ever hit, and I still don't know why I got rid of it. You know, now it's probably obsolete, but yeah, it's interesting how things shift.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously you've got your fairway woods. I don't. Dave's still got his long irons.
Yeah.
I don't. You know, although now I have a 4-iron again. But
I took my 4-iron out for a while, but I put it back.
well, and I think that goes to the conversion of what Dave was talking about is what's really tough for a lot of people in building out these sets, whether you have new sets or whether you get like 5 or 6 new irons and then you're keeping your hybrids and you're keeping some wedges. How does it all fit? How does
Exactly.
How does it gap correctly so that you don't have redundancy? Because you see it. I mean, I see it all the time.
Yeah, it's
with
true.
people's set. You know, they're like, oh, I got a 5 wood, I got a 7 wood, I got a, I got a 3 hybrid, a 4 hybrid, and a 5 hybrid. You know, and it's like after a while, you're kind of like, well, you could make up your set, pull that club out, save yourself another wedge.
Yeah.
You know, so you can score instead of going, well, I'm going to pitch with my pitching wedge all the time.
Yeah. That's
You
a
know,
mistake.
yeah, and I think there's
Yeah.
a lot of people out there who just don't know.
But you know,
It's
I
true.
have extra clubs, and depending on where I'm going to play, and I kind of look at the course, I choose what I'm going to leave in the bag or move it, and it changes depending on where I play.
Right. Well, and a lot of people could do that, but they just don't. They don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know enough information to know that they could do that and that it actually could benefit them.
Yeah. Well, you have to go and hit the clubs too. You have to know. I mean, this goes back to the same conversation we had about the most important thing in golf, in my mind, is knowing how far you hit that club.
Yeah.
Not.
It's amazing how many people don't know.
Yes. It's crazy to me. I do
Or
not understand
or they take
that.
their best shot and that's how far I hit.
That's
Yeah.
the one I like.
Yeah.
And it.
I hit my 8-iron 157. I'm like, okay, so show me 157, and they keep swinging, they keep swinging. They're like, man,
142.
it's just not working. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
142, exactly. It's more like 142, 145. You know, and it's amazing when you take something like that. If you just actually take a minute to think about it, how much that could improve your game.
Oh yeah.
You don't
Hugely.
even need to take a lesson.
Yeah.
Just really go out there and chart it out.
Yeah.
You know.
Almost every playing lesson I give, by the time we're on 5th, 6th hole, I said, okay, on 1, where'd you end up when you hit it into the green? Well, I was a little bit on the front edge. Okay. 2, where'd you end up, when you hit into the green? Well, I was about 10 yards short. On number 3, where were you? I was in the bunker. What number? Are you starting to see a pattern here? And almost always, so you're short 70% of the time.
Yeah.
15% of the time you're flag high, and 5% you're long.
Yeah. Very rarely is anybody long.
Yeah, and
Very rarely.
they say, "Well, what should I do?" And I said, "Well, let's start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Take another club." Yeah.
Well, and I said this to a couple of lessons that we were doing the same thing, and Nikki mentioned it at the break, that taking a lesson on course, not necessarily even a playing lesson, but, if you have the opportunity to see Dave or see myself or any of the other pros in the area, and I know I do it a lot at Paso. I have a bucket of balls specifically for that. We'll go out on the golf course. We'll find an open hole in the morning in the back early, and I'll say, okay, we're going to work on some tee shots on the par 3. You hit a bunch of shots. You go up where you hit the bunch of shots, and then whatever shot you gave yourself there, we hit those into the green, and the whole lesson might be on hole number 17, a par 3.
It's surprising how many people do that. They
Yeah.
say, just take me out to the 15th
Yeah.
hole.
Yeah.
And,
I thought that was the 19th.
Ah, nice.
well, that's when they want real expertise. But no, in fact, the 15th hole at Monarch,
Yeah.
that par 5,
Yeah.
I've given 3 different people playing lessons on that hole.
Nice.
They said, how do you play this?
Yeah.
And I said, well, not very well.
Ah,
But it's amazing how some holes are just, they don't look tricked up. They don't look that difficult, but
Yeah.
they're just
they're
tough
just
golf
tough.
holes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you tagging this all in to like practicing on course, whether it's you doing it yourself or with an instructor, or if you have the opportunity, sometimes at Twilight you can do that with a friend. You can go do that. But I like what Nikki did, where you take, we dialed in her wedges, and then she went and listed her wedges, and she made like a chart and laminated it and stuck it to her bag, so she knows. You know your wedges. This is my pitch wedge. This is what it does. This wedge of pitching distance, full or half. Full swing wedge for a 60 is this, and then it goes next down to a 56. Here's my pitch. Here's my full swing. Here's my half. Da 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 da. And then the cool thing is when you got it on paper, you can actually see it kind of cross-reference itself. So depending on what kind of shot you really have,
Right.
does the shot call for a real high? Is it low? Can you round it on? What can you do?
You want to hit a spinner? You want?
Yeah. And I think it may help people, because I know I'm such a visual guy. I've got to see it on paper. Like I have to see that. I can still go do it in my head, but I have to see it on paper. So once I see it on paper, I see patterns, and then I go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm just the opposite. Paper doesn't mean a thing to me.
Yeah.
It's just the feel and the visual
Yeah.
of seeing the
Yeah.
shot.
That's why we're
So-
yin and yang then. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
I don't know. Which one's okay to be?
That ain't me.
But yeah, it's funny it's funny how something as simple as writing that down, and even if you go play, or when you go play, just like you were mentioning, whether say you're just playing, not a playing lesson, write down how far you hit your shot,
Yeah.
and then make a little note. Was it okay contact? Was it good contact? If it felt good,
And that's a good point in itself.
yeah,
Yeah.
was it uphill, downhill? Make sure you make a note so that you can start charting out your irons and
The
and
other
your
thing
your other clubs.
I do on my card is I'll make a little dot, whether it's where I'm putting. I always make a note of every club I hit, and when I do that, I can make it that it was short, that it was
Yeah.
long, just by putting a dot around the box. Oh, I hit it long on this one, or short on this one, or right or left.
Yeah.
And then you can go back and look at that, and you see patterns, like
Yeah.
you were saying, Dave. You see patterns, and you go, aha,
Mm-hmm.
this is what's happening. Because usually people just forget. I had one guy, he goes, I don't want to see the video you took because it was a bad swing. And I was like, okay, you know what? That's when you learn,
Yeah.
when you see something you didn't do right.
Right.
So,
Right. Good point. So we're going to take our first break of the second hour here, and I want to thank our partners with Golf Talk Radio, Sundale Country Club. Give them a shout at 661-831-5224, SundaleCountryClub.com. Don't forget about McPhee's Grill. Last week, Henry Hernandez won $50 to McPhee's Grill in Templeton. Check them out online, McPhee'sGrill.com, 805-434-3204. Hometown cooking through and through. Check out lunch and dinner at McPhee's Grill in Templeton, California.
And Henry, I'm available for dinner. if
There
you
we
want.
go, Henry. You got yourself a partner.
that ABC burger.
I love it. Yeah, I'm all about the macadamia encrusted halibut. I love that. I just love that stuff. But Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy. Be right back. We're going to do another loose impediment. You want to call the show? We've got trivia. We've got Golf Talk Radio trivia. We've got Ben Hogan trivia. A whole bunch of other good trivia books here. 805-595-3776. We have rounds of golf to give away. I've got sleeves of golf balls. I'm sure Dave has got stuff he would be happy to give
bet.
away. And call, and if you play, you'll win. So 805-595-3776 is the phone number here. We'll be right back. Golf Talk
about a
Radio with Mike and
combine?
Billy on ESPN Radio.